All right, guys, what is going on? It's your boy Town. So I decided to get one stream in, talk some boxing. Boxing been pretty interesting this whole week. Lots of stuff to talk about and unpack. So, of course, we're going to talk about the Tank. Basically the Tank and the Jake Paul thing. It looks like Jake Paul is going to pull the plug on the Tank fight. The fight would have been pretty much 2 weeks away. Well, now a week and some change because the fight was scheduled to take place on November the 14th, which is a Friday. So that's not going to happen. Boy, I could tell you something about October. It seemed like that was just like the longest month ever. It just seemed like it always take forever for October to end. But nevertheless, here it is, November 2nd. So just a lot of stuff to unpack. I'm gonna go as long as I can because I got some other stuff to do. I guess you can call it the late night creep. That was the song by Compton's Most Wanted on their first classic album called "It's a Compton Thing." I had the cassette tape. This is kind of like when people were still buying cassette tapes, and it was funny when you bought that album. It was like a blue cassette tape. So basically, Compton's Most Wanted was letting you know what side they was on and who but nevertheless, let's get started. So I got a lot to talk about. I'm gonna try to talk about the whole Tim Bradley Jay Leon Love thing. That was pretty hilarious. Then I'm gonna talk about this whole thing about guys being basically being assistants for guys like Jake Paul, and should they be helping them? Is there such thing as the code and all that kind of stuff? So at the end of the day, basically, as I said before, and I stand on what I say, I see a lot of people are joining in on the pile on Clarissa Shields, basically because Layla Ali said so. At the end of the day, I stand by what I said. Now, you got a couple of people calling me delusion, a couple of bitch boys, and women who don't know shit about boxing, who don't cover boxing, who just, just jumping on the bandwagon, doing what's popular. Like I said, I march to the beat of my own drum. At the end of the day, whether Clarissa Shields hated on Layla Ali, on whether Layla Ali hated on Clarissa Shields, at the end of the day, this is fact, is documented. She was the one that was floating around for the right price. She may come out of retirement. At the end of the day, all she did is just, waste people's time and just to try to make these videos to promote products and all that kind of stuff, when all she had to do was immediately to respond. At the end of the day, she just didn't want to fight, and she got her bluff called. It doesn't matter whether she's been retired for 18 years, because a lot of dudes seem to use that for an excuse. Mike Tyson hadn't had an actual fight in almost 20 years, and he still got in the ring with Jake Paul for $20 million. At the end of the day, Layla Ali, she's been proven to be a liar herself. Mrs. All Lives Matter. So, it is what it is. Why take two videos and basically take two videos and basically 3 months just to say you're not gonna reward somebody and all this stupid stuff about her face is on the belt. Your face is not on the belt. All they have is a damn button of your face on the belt. So technically your face is not on the belt, and all you got to do is take some scissors and you can cut that button off. At the end of the day, she just never wanted to fight, and she just needed a way to get out of the fight. She kept saying she was busy to respond, but yet she put together these two 30-minute videos. So she had time to make these two 30-minute videos and edit it to the point to make it look like she was the person that got dead wrong. So at the end of the day, she just never wanted to fight. And that's just the bottom line, and I'm not finna argue with people about it. It is what it is. It is what it is. She just didn't want to fight and she ducked. That's all, She could have put this to bed. She could have put this to bed right away. She could have immediately put this to bed because first she tried to say, "Oh, is the offer real? Is the offer real?" and it was proven that it was a real offer. So, she had to try to find a way. Okay, I got to find a way to get out of this fight without making it look like I was ducking. At the end of the day, if you would have just said, "Hey, I'm retired. I'm not fighting anymore," that's it. That's all. That's it. That's all. But all this stuff just to wait 3 months to make these videos going in on Claressa Shields for what? And at the end of the day, you still help Claressa Shields because bad publicity can be good publicity because now her name is out there. So actually, this is a win for Claressa Shields. Nah, well, I see right through Layla Ali. She just never wanted to fight. She just wasn't going to take the fight. She was scared that she was going to get her ass beat. And that's just the bottom line. You can sit up there and say, "Oh, I got more knockouts than you got wins." But here's the thing. Hey, Edgar Berlanga had 16 straight first round knockouts. Okay, enough said. Does that mean anything? So just stop it. Just stop it. You just didn't want to fight. You ducked, and that's all it come down to. You just didn't want to fight, and you needed a way to get out of it. Why make all these damn videos? That's all Lee like to do is just talk. That's all she does is talk. She all talk. That's all she likes to do is just talk and bump her gums. And I'm seeing people making videos who don't even cover boxing, especially women. And I'm not gonna troll, but they sound clueless. You got one lady talking about, "Oh, Claressa Shields is buying views and stuff. Oh, she has more views than like what? What do that matter? Like what? What?" So I'm just like, all right. I'm like, I'm like, what you have here sometimes in the internet, you just have people that'll just push a narrative and they will ride a wave because it's popular. At the end of the day, the real winner of this is Layla Ali. Not really. That's a lie. She like the real loser. The real winner is Claressa Shields because she basically proved that Layla Ali just talk and she wasn't really about that action. But that's all Layla Ali like to do is just talk. That's all she likes to do is just talk and talk about her many endorsements. That's the only thing she like to talk about is her endorsements. That's the only thing she good for doing is just talking. And what tripped me out, it's not like Claressa Shields wasn't willing to lay it all on the line. She 30 years old. So what if Layla Ali gets in there and beats her ass? You know what type of humiliation Claressa Shields would be looking at? So let's just keep it a buck. Both of them had something to lose, but at least Claressa Shields was willing to risk it. So, I mean, it is what it is. I never said that Claressa Shields is a saint in the whole situation. Listen, I know how women get down. I know how men get down. Look how Floyd treat people. Look how Floyd act when he see people getting the attention. He get mad and then he have to do something to get some attention. He always, Floyd, that's all he tries to do is cling on to other people. All of a sudden, Bud's name is out there. Bud becoming a world-renowned name. He becoming a household name. So now all of a sudden, Floyd wants to announce that he's looking into a rematch with Manny Pacquiao after all these years because Floyd thrives on attention. So at the end of the day, this is going to help Claressa Shields because you know why? The next time she gets in the ring, wherever she fights, people are going to be lined up to see her fight. So this is actually a win for Claressa Shields because while Layla Ali think that she did something to Claressa Shields, her popularity just her popularity just got enhanced. Her popularity blew up. So when she gets back in the ring, she's going to have probably even more people coming to see her fight. Whether they like her or not, they're going to be curious. So at the end of the day, it's still a W for Clarissa Shields. So that's just pretty much it. And I had a lot of people attacking me. I had a couple of goofballs, a lot of emotional dudes calling me a simp. Like, how in the fuck am I a simp? That don't even make no sense. I'm not asking Clarissa Shields out on the damn day. Clarissa Shields is 30 years old. I'm 51. She's young enough to be my daughter. Like, what? Like, come on, man. Like, how am I a simp? That don't make no kind of sense. So, okay, so for all the niggas that's sitting up here, that's Team Ali. Well, what does that make you? What does that make you? Yeah, Mrs. All Lives Matter. Oh, I don't want to say, I don't want to say Black Lives Matter because, I have, I don't want to alienate. I have, like, why would they care? Why would they care? You supposed to be black and you seeing the injustices did to black men and black women, but you worried about what some non-black think. That says all I need to know about you. So you can't be trusted. You can't be trusted. You pretty much said your endorsements mean more to you than your light skin complexion. Yeah, I said it. And I just don't, I'm just going to be honest with you because I remember when Layla Ali got caught in that lie, and I'm finna wrap this up and move to another subject. Layla Ali is a liar. She really is. She told that lie. She lied on her father when she said her father was rooting for Manny Pacquiao and somebody from Manny Pacquiao. I could pull up the video, but I don't even want to do all that. Oh, my father is definitely Team Manny Pacquiao because she had some issue with Floyd because Floyd said that he was TBE and he didn't say Muhammad Ali was the best. And everybody don't have to kiss Muhammad Ali's pinky ring. I don't think Muhammad Ali, in my humble opinion, I don't think he's the greatest fighter that ever lived. That is highly debatable. Most people truly believe the greatest fighter that ever lived is either Jack Johnson or Sugar Ray Robinson. Look at Sugar Ray Robinson's box rec. That dude, if I'm not mistaken, fought like between 10 and 11 times in one calendar year. That's real talk. And then Jack Johnson used to get death threats on a regular basis. A lot of times they told him he had to lose fights or they would do something to him. And you know what I'm saying? He was like, he went through the ultimate hell and high water. This dude would have to beat up white dudes and then have to worry about them trying to kill him. And then you got this fucking moron, J. Leon Love, talking about boxing has never been about race. You fucking Sambo coon ass nigga. So, dude, stop it. Dude, if you don't get your ass out of here, for him to sit up there and tell a bold-faced lie like that, that tells you all you need to know about him. And then he's called himself coming after Tim Bradley because Tim Bradley decided to get on code. And Tim Bradley wasn't even talking about him. He was referring to Boots, which I'm gonna get to that in a minute. So I'm just saying, I'm just saying, but in closing with the Layla Ali thing, Layla Ali full of shit. At the end of the day, she just didn't want the damn fight. Like I said, it took you 3 months just to say no. And you making all these videos. It took you 3 months and you made 2 30-minute videos, but you swear to God you didn't have no time. All it take is 2 minutes. Let me tell you something. Y'all know I do shorts the same way I do shorts. That's less than 4 minutes. All she had to do is say, hey, I hear there's an offer. I'm honored. But at the end of the day, I've been retired. I I have to unfortunately turn the fight down. That's it. That's all. But she sat up there, throwing temper tantrums. Ain't nobody gonna make me respond. Ain't nobody gonna make me do nothing I don't want to do. Like, what are you talking about, lady? Lady, what are you talking about? So she already showed me that she was shook right then and there. Based off the fact she went through all this, where she just could have said no. She got that offer made to her in July. She talked about, I got to talk to my team. I got to do all this. But wait a minute. Like, wait a minute. If she would have had an answer by August, the beginning of August, okay, fine. But you dragged this on into September and then almost to the end of October. Pretty much just to say, I'm not going to reward somebody. Reward. Like, God damn, she a arrogant. I keep telling you, she got light skin-itis. Keep telling you that. So I'm just saying, she didn't got caught in lies her damn self. But nobody wants to talk about that, because what it is, when you have people that didn't made up their mind, people just made up their mind, they was just gonna side with Layla Ali no matter what. And that's pretty much what you got going on. Where some people, they just gonna side with somebody no matter what, and then you gonna have certain stuff that's gonna come out and people gonna ignore it. Just like people ignored the fact that Ryan Garcia got caught using PEDs. He pretty much cheated, told all these lies on how that stuff got in his system, but they had it made up in their mind that somehow, some way, they was going to vilify Devin Haney. And that's all it came down to. So, and that's funny that Ryan Garcia got stopped right in his tracks again by Oscar De La Hoya. Oscar De La Hoya pretty much immediately said, nah, Ryan ain't fighting nobody. He ain't fighting no Jake Paul. It's that simple. He ain't fighting Jake Paul. So next subject. I'll announce Ryan Garcia's next fight. It's looking like Ryan Garcia could be headed for a showdown with Mario Barrios. So it's looking like he could be headed for a showdown with Mario Barrios. That looked like that's on the way, that's in the works. So, stay tuned. That's just, early. That's just early talks. Hopefully I will be in Dallas this coming week to cover the Virgil Ortiz, Lubin fight. So I'll be in Dallas once again. I'll be in the Dallas area. I'm actually be in Fort Worth. Fort Worth and Dallas is two different cities. They just right next to each other. Nah, they got to do. Ryan is done. You see, he was a totally different fighter versus Rolly. He looked average as hell. Versus Rolly. So it just goes to show you it's a difference between having something in your system and not having nothing in your system. A lot of people try to downplay it and say steroids don't make a difference. That's just absurd. Or PEDs don't make a difference. That's absurd. Now, does it guarantee a win? No. But does it better your chances of winning? Absolutely. Absolutely. So it looked like that's on the cards for Ryan Garcia, a possible fight with, Mario Barrios. That'll be a decent scrap. And Ryan could possibly get his ass beat in that fight. But yeah, Yeah, they testing because I saw Brian Norman Sr. He said they've been tested 9 times. Yeah, I heard they looking at the spear, but that remains to be seen. I wouldn't be surprised if Floyd all of a sudden just changed his mind and just, just so he can have people talking about him. But at the end of the day, they're going to look and see what the logistics could be. They're going to look and see what the numbers could be. They're going to have a decent undercard. They're going to have a decent. Hell, they could have put Layla Ali and Clarissa Shields on the undercard. But this is supposed to take place on Netflix. I had it all planned out. That could have been on the undercard. That. So with that being said, this fight is supposed to take place. This fight is supposed to take place in May. So it's not going to be Manny Pacquiao's next fight, because Manny Pacquiao is still set to fight. He's still supposed to fight in January, and then if he does his thing, then him and Floyd would fight either in April or May. They talking about the end of April or early May. That's going to come down to what happens with Canelo. Now, Canelo is supposed to fight again sometime like between May and June. From what I've been told, Canelo isn't interested in a Terrence Crawford rematch. In all likelihood, Terrence Crawford is probably going to fight Janibek. Janibek has a fight coming up next month. He's going to be taking on Lara. And by the way, that's going to be a great card. Lara versus Janibek. That is the co-main event. And then the main event will be Lamont Roach versus Isaac Cruz. And then on the undercard, you have Ashaki Foster versus Steve Fulton. So that's going to be that's going to be a really good card. It's going to be a really good card. So, basically what they're looking at, they're actually hoping that Janibek wins that fight, because they figure a Janibek Terrence Crawford fight is more marketable. So Janibek is gonna, this is a unification bout. So Janibek, if he's successful, let's just say I'm gonna probably favor him to win, but I wouldn't be surprised if Lara pulls this off. But Janibek is the guy that they want to win, and then he fights Thomas Adamek, and if if I'm not mistaken, if he gets past Thomas Adamek, he will have 3 of the 4 belts. I haven't looked and seen who has the last final belt, because sometimes I really don't be keeping up with that. So whoever has the last belt, I guess Terrence Crawford would fight him, or Janibek would fight all of those dudes, and then he fights Terrence Crawford in September versus Terrence Crawford for undisputed at 160. But you've been hearing that Terrence Crawford may possibly take a fight, but I don't know. Yeah, that's because of Lara's age. Lara is like 40, 41 years old. So that's why they giving him the edge. But I wouldn't be surprised if he pulls this off. I wouldn't be surprised if Lara pulls this off, if he frustrates Jennebeck and, just, boxes him. But lately, Laura has been, putting on better fights. Because I remember a few years ago, he fought at the Barclays Center. He was like the main event and people was just walking out of there. So that was sad. So they're looking at a Terrence Crawford fight if everything, goes according to plan. They looking at a Terrence Crawford fight. Terrence Crawford has said that in all likelihood he's going to continue to fight. I wish he would retire because I don't like him going down, especially somebody at his age going back down to like 160. But Terrence Crawford takes care of himself. But sometimes your body lets you down. Keep in mind, Terrence Crawford, by the time this fight rolls around in September, Terrence Crawford will be going on 39. So, I mean, he's in his late 30s. So, you have to wonder how much toll would him like going down in weight take on him. So that's the only concern that I have. But, I'm one of them dudes. I'm still going to pick Bud until I actually see Bud lose. Then I'm not betting against him. He's just found ways to make it happen. So, all right. So as you guys know, it looked like Jake Paul is going to move on from Tank Davis because Tank Davis seems to find himself constantly in these situations with women. Listen, I saw Blue Bud's video in which he was going in, and I just got to ask Blue Blood, you my guy, you my brother and everything, but don't specifically just hang this hat on black men, calling black men cowards and for, defending Tank and all that kind of stuff. They just fanboys. At the end of the day, I'm going to say this and I'm going to make this very clear. If you are in a relationship, whether you man or woman, you shouldn't be putting your hands on anybody. Now, I believe in self-defense when it pertains to protecting yourself and protecting your life. At the end of the day, gender doesn't matter. If your life is in jeopardy or somebody that you love or somebody around you's life in jeopardy, you got to do whatever you got to do to survive. But I don't believe in fighting nobody because it's like this. If you got to put your hands on somebody whenever you don't get your way or you get violent because you have an argument and that kind of stuff, then you don't need to be with that person. If a person make you that mad to where you want to fight them or you get into a physical altercation almost all the time, listen, in relationships, there's always going to be to a point to where you could get into an argument to where you could be on the brink of somebody, getting a little physical. It just comes down to how physical you get. That's just real life. You got to try to show restraint no matter who you are. And that's just the bottom line. But at the same time, I'm not going to sit up there and try to tell somebody how to react to a situation because I don't know what your situation is. And I don't know how much you went through to where you got to that point. So at the same time, I'm saying try to resist or try to walk away. But at the same time, don't provoke nobody. If somebody say they need to get some air, let them get some fucking air. Let them breathe for a little bit. Let them relax. Because you make the situation worse. But I'm going to say this about Tank. Tank got some serious issues. He got some serious issues. And I don't want to go dive deep into this with Tank. Tank got some serious issues. I'm not finna sit up here. I'm not finna sit up here and play judge, jury, and executioner. That's just not my thing. Now, keep in mind, Tank is being sued in a civil suit. This is not a criminal case. This is a civil suit. But I will say this much. it's not a good look for Tank because Tank is on video aggressively grabbing a girl and all that kind of stuff. That's on video. Seen it. Not a good look. Not smart of Tank. Tank need therapy. He really does. He has serious issues with himself. He has issues with himself in the ring. He has issues with himself outside of the ring. He already showed that he was bothered by what happened with him and Lamont Roach in that first fight. That's why he did everything in his power to find a way to get out of that fight because he was doubting himself. Because Lamont Roach refused to, fall in line. He refused to not follow the script. And I'm not saying that there is a script. What I'm saying is, and I'm just, in the grand scheme of things, I'm just putting a scenario out there, hypothetically. Not saying that there was an actual script. I'm just talking in hypothetics. That Tank was so used to being able to get these dudes out of there to where he was shocked. And that always happens in boxing. That's why you are trained to prepare to go rounds instead of for a knockout. That's why they say, well, if the knockout comes, then fine. Tank was surprised that Lamont Roach took his best shots and he was still there. So Tank started to doubt himself. You already saw that Tank was questioning himself when Tank sat up there, was talking about hair got in his eye and all this stuff. And that's why he had to take a knee. Tank is very lucky he didn't lose that fight via disqualification because he could have been disqualified for going to his corner while you was, fighting in an active round. The round wasn't over. So Tank caught a break on several occasions in that fight. So, but they're saying that they're probably going to walk away from Tank. Well, here's the thing. They already said, according to Golden Boy, that Ryan Garcia is not an option. I was thinking, well, why not Andre Ward? But we know Jake Paul isn't going to ask Andre Ward. Now, it's funny. I talked to Andre Ward on Instagram. I sent him an Instagram message. He'll respond to me when he get a chance. He always respond to me. So he knows who I am. So, but Andre Ward would probably say no because Andre Ward wouldn't take a fight on like basically 12 days notice. So I highly doubt Andre Ward would be an option. The fight probably is going to get pushed back to December sometime. So that's probably what's going to happen. The fight is going to be pushed back to December and they'll just look for a replacement. Probably some MMA fighter. Past his prime, or probably some boxer that's past their prime. I mean, he could fight Arthur Beterbiev. Arthur Beterbiev was training. But he was scheduled to fight on this upcoming card, and he pulled out of the fight because basically he said he was just gonna wait it out and he was gonna get ready for David Benavidez. Should David Benavidez get past Anthony Yarde? So, I mean, I'm pretty sure Arthur Beterbiev is in good enough shape to take a fight. I don't think it would fare well for Jake Paul. I don't think it would fare well for Jake Paul. I mean, I think Jake Paul that wouldn't go very well for him. I know Jake Paul supposedly called out Terrence Crawford and Floyd Mayweather. First of all, Terrence Crawford would go in there and he would beat the living breaks off of Jake Paul. When I say Terrence Crawford would when I say Terrence Crawford would do a number on Jake Paul, it wouldn't even be it wouldn't even be pretty. It wouldn't even be pretty. And I guarantee if Terrence Crawford said, okay, I'll accept the fight, I guarantee you Jake Paul will say, nah, we looking at somebody else and all that kind of stuff. All right, so let me talk about this whole situation with Shakur Stevenson, Keyshawn Davis, and who else? Ray Ford, all these dudes assisting Jake Paul, helping him with sparring, helping him with fundamentals. And, so here's the thing. Now the Tank fans have all of a sudden found themselves, finding their lost dashikis and their black gloves and their beret hollering about power to the people. They were very quiet about the whole boots thing. I'm going to say this much. I didn't like it. I'll be completely honest with you. As far as the boots thing go, I didn't care for that. I didn't care for that, and I understood why a lot of people were upset. They were like, "Wait a minute, dude. Why are you training with this dude, bro? Why are you trying to assist somebody like Canelo and beating somebody that looked like Bud?" Then all of a sudden, you had these people, you had these Canelo fans talking that black and brown shit, which is non-existent. Yeah, you want to holler black and brown, don't make boxing about race, because we're all want bullshit. You were saying that because you thought this was going to be a W for Canelo. But as far as as far as these brothers go, look how they get down. Look how they get down. But the thing with Jake Paul, I kind of see this just a little different than I see the whole boots thing. I know it's kind of like along the lines and stuff, and a lot of people have said that they got an issue with it because it's kind of along the lines. But let me ask you this, and this is just real talk. Do Tank deserve the support of the black community? Do Tank deserve the support of the black community as bad as Tank was sitting up cooning? This is a dude that some people accused of weight draining Ryan Garcia. And then he was defending Ryan Garcia to the T. Oh, he didn't cheat. He didn't cheat. So, what you expect? And we know how Keyshawn get down. We know how Keyshawn Davis get down. As far as Shakur go, and Raymond Ford and all these other people, whatever, man. I just see it a little different. Because at the end of the day, people need to understand something. This was going to be an exhibition match. So Tank, this wasn't going to be on his actual record. But I understand where people coming from saying, man, you shouldn't be helping this dude, period. But we all know that a lot of black dudes don't stand on nothing. They don't have no integrity. We already know that. So why are we shocked? Why are we shocked by this? Well, if Keyshawn is hurting for money, Keyshawn brought it on himself. He the one that refused to make weight. All he had to do was make weight. And he did it in his own hometown. So Keyshawn did this to himself. As far as the Tank stuff go, yeah, Tank was cooning hard for Ryan Garcia. And I don't know what it is with this thing, this camaraderie that black men are lacking, are missing. I don't know what it is about some of these niggas where they seek validation for people that don't look like them. I'm just not one of these niggas that care what other people think. What it look like me caring what a Mexican think, or Asian, or a non-black? Like, if you have a problem with me supporting my people, then you the real problem. Like I said, black people don't go around harassing Mexicans if they support other Mexicans. We don't harass Filipinos if they support other Filipino. We don't harass Indians, whether it's Native Americans or whether it's Asian Indians, East Asian Indians. Is that what they called? Short-term red dots, not redskins, red dots. And you know what I'm talking about. Oh well. We don't go around harassing them when they celebrate their heritage, their culture. But like I said, everybody think black people is community property. Everybody think they can cling on to black people. When they see black people get possibly about to get something that could benefit strictly just blacks, then all of a sudden they say, hey, we're all one group. Hey, let's form a coalition and all that kind of stuff. Or some of them just flat out try to co-op us and say, oh, what about us? What about us? And like I say, my reply is, what about you? What about you? We the only ones that's made to feel guilty if we support other black people. If we say support black people, oh, why you got to support a business because it's black? That's reverse racism. Man, fuck you. Ain't no such thing as no damn reverse racism. Doesn't exist. But that's the problem. We sit up here, and so that's what I'm saying. Layla Ali ain't no different from Tank. She ain't no different from Keyshawn. She ain't no different from none of them dudes. The only color she sees is dollars. And I'm sorry, I got some kind of integrity. So, that's it in a nutshell. Well, damn. Okay, I understand that, Mr. Sharp, but damn, when we gonna stop worrying about what other people think? That is the fucking problem. We have to stop worrying about what other people think. When are we gonna get to the point to where we be like, so what? Our biggest problem is we have to explain ourselves to people. We don't have to explain ourselves to people. We don't owe nobody no explanation. Do they explain themselves to us? No. So why do we feel like we have to explain ourselves to them? That's all I'm saying, brother. We have to stop acting like we have to explain ourselves to everybody. We don't owe nobody a damn thing. We don't owe them no explanation, and we don't have to get their permission to do anything that benefits us. That's the main reason why I don't trust politicians. Just like all of a sudden everybody blowing up Jasmine Crockett, she ain't no different from Kamala Harris. I promise you that. Once I heard her talk, I say, okay, she one of them. When she did that spew, that, I was disappointed in Stephen A. Smith because it's a black woman and all that kind of stuff, but nobody cares when somebody comes after and speaks down on black men. Where was her? And where was people like her when people were sitting up attacking black men? Oh, you're a sellout. That's the problem. So once again, I don't trust people like them. She already showed what time it was with her. She ain't no different from Kamala Harris. The next 2.5 years, it's gonna be the same old thing. Vote Democrat so we can get back in office and cater to everybody but black people. And if we do cater to black people, they have to live a certain type of lifestyle. We gonna prioritize everybody but black people. But thanks for voting for us and getting us back in office so we can do exactly what the Republicans do for the black community. Nothing. Am I missing something? Am I missing something? So that's all I'm saying. We got to stop like explaining ourselves to people. I ain't got to explain myself to somebody that ain't black on my actions. They always come. They always wake up in the morning worrying about what we doing. I've never seen people so obsessed with a group of people that say we ain't shit. We don't contribute to nothing. We don't do anything. We a bunch of lazy this, a bunch of lazy that. But then everybody sit up here wondering what we doing. And every time they see us trying to get something that benefits and better our community, here they come. If it ain't somebody that don't look like us trying to sabotage us, it's some nigga that look like us. You know, like I said, the Jason Whitlocks, the Officer Tatums of the world, the Hodge twins, the Anton Daniels, those type of niggas. And by the way, Anton Daniels, I laughed at him. Anton Daniels is a straight mark. Another internet fake tough guy. Dude is straight shook. Nigga scared of Kenyon Martin. Oh, I'll say it to my face. I'll say it to his face with my security. It's like, nigga, you can't say something to somebody's face. You talk about you got security. My security trained to keep. Nigga, shut up. Shut up. Nigga, shut your ass up, nigga. Oh, and I just want to say something, and I just want to say something. People can verify. He said that he came up with that terminology for Kamala Harris, Cam, back in 2021. Nigga, I was saying that on Torian Rain's show back in 2020. I came up with that name, lying ass nigga. You got that from me. And I'll tell it to the nigga's face. I go to Detroit and say the shit to his face in front of his security. And shout out to my Detroit dudes. This ain't got nothing to do with y'all. This is just him. I came up with that terminology, Cam. And Torian Rain can verify that. We were saying Cam in 2020. So how you gonna say you came up with that name in 2021 when I was saying it a year ahead of you? Lying ass nigga. Mark. Oh yeah, Charleston White too. Them all the niggas that you can't trust. So I'm just saying. Yeah, this new generation of black men, they really disappointing. They really be sitting up seeking validation from everybody except black people. But then the funny thing is everybody used the black community to come up. Everybody used the black community to generate wealth for their communities and don't hardly give nothing black to the black community except talk shit about them. But then a lot of people make money and build fortunes off the black dollar. But then everybody got something to say. And then another thing, I'm sick of people saying this myth about that Hispanics is the heart of boxing. How is that? How is that? When there is no pay-per-view in the top 10 that featured Mexican versus Mexican. So they don't have that much interest in watching each other fight, but these the same ones that sit up here and be saying nobody wants to see black fighters fight. But then the most successful fights in history are between either a black man versus another black man or a black man versus a Hispanic. And most of the time, the black dude came out on top. So I'm just, oh yeah. Who says what? What are you talking about? Who says what? What are you talking about? Be more specific, please. Specify. What are you talking about? That would be the only fight that would sell. The heart and soul of boxing is black fighters. Without black fighters, there ain't no damn boxing, and the sport is dead. Like I said, I already debunked that whole myth about, like, and I don't know why people keep saying that stuff. That's why I had to correct, even though it was a good interview, that's why I had to correct Brian Norman Sr. And by the way, I'm not done with Floyd too, because I'm gonna put out a video about Floyd too, about how Floyd purposely, you know, Floyd purposely avoided black fighters in their prime during the Floyd Money Mayweather era. How he didn't want to give brothers a payday. And I keep trying to tell people, for all these Mexicans that think that Floyd, you know, that you have no idea. Floyd was fighting a lot of these Mexicans because he saw them as one dimensional, that they complimented his style, because he really didn't think much of them. That's why he kept picking them. And he knew Floyd played off those Mexicans' racism, because he knew that they was racist towards him, and they figure they'd be blinded by the fact that Floyd was, that Floyd was superior to them. And Floyd tricked them so many times. I mean, Floyd's resume speaks for himself. It speaks for himself. When he became Floyd Money Mayweather, he may have only fought, I'm trying to think. Because he became Floyd Money Mayweather after the Oscar De La Hoya fight. So he kind of was Floyd Pretty Boy Mayweather when he fought Zab Zuda, and Zab Zuda was coming off a loss. But if you look at his fights post Oscar De La Hoya, he technically only fought, 2.5 black fighters. Berto, Sugar Shane Mosley, and I guess if you want to count Miguel Cotto, even though Miguel Cotto would be considered a black Latino, a Puerto Rican. So, he only fought 2 black American fighters. And let me tell you, and I'm gonna tell you something else. I'm gonna put this whole Amir Khan thing to rest. He didn't duck Amir Khan. Floyd would have knocked Amir Khan out if they would have fought. He would have beat Amir Khan. He would have found a way to beat Amir Khan. The reason why he fought Marcos Maidana, because he is Spanish. He's not Mexican, but once again, the Spanish, for that one night, they will align each other with other Hispanics to go against Floyd Mayweather. Floyd saw all that. Al Haymon saw all that. The same way people talk about how Top Rank allegedly had a no black fighter policy, Al Haymon pretty much did too when it pertained to Floyd Mayweather. And he really didn't want to make Spence versus Crawford. So I'm just speaking facts. I need for somebody to tell me where I'm lying. So Floyd purposely did that. Floyd purposely, him and Al Haymon, intentionally ostracized black fighters. So that was the play. And they knew that those fights would sell, because they played off the racism. And that's pretty genius. Like Floyd used to say, even if you don't like me, you paid to see me fight. You paid to see me lose. So that was Floyd's thing. Floyd and Al Haymon started this stuff. where they started to devalue the black fighter. Tell me that I'm lying. Tell me that I'm lying. Tell me that I'm lying. Tell me that I'm fucking lying. Because I'm not. You make me sick. Well, hey, cool. Well, hey, I'm glad that I'll make you sick enough to pay to make a donation. Thanks for the $2. Thanks for the $2. That'll buy me a big gulp from 7-Eleven. Thank you. That'll buy me a big gulp from 7-Eleven or Quick Stop. So thank you very much. Appreciate that. I don't care if you don't like me or not. I will be perfectly fine. So like I said, I'm gonna enjoy that. I'm gonna go get me a big gulp. I could go get one right now because 7-Eleven is open right now. I live like maybe 5 minutes away from the 7-Eleven. But thanks for the $2 donation. Appreciate that. So I'm just saying the truth. That was the whole premise of Floyd Money Mayweather. Don't give black fighters a shot. Don't give them a payday. I'm sorry, Brian, you my guy, but yeah. And I'm gonna tell y'all right now, I'll say allegedly, because you never know who's watching. Allegedly, Floyd only fought Andre Berto over some chick. I mean, Andre Berto hinted that in interviews, so I'm just telling y'all, Floyd, from what I was told, he fought Andre Berto over a chick. It was an intentional effort for Floyd and the PBC to ostracize. They really didn't want to make black versus black fights. They really didn't want to make. They really didn't want to make those type of fights. But that's just such a slap in the face. That's a slap in the face to the dudes that came before Floyd, the Haglers, the Sugar Ray Leonards, the Thomas Hearns, George Foreman, Joe Frazier, Larry Holmes. You know what I'm saying? The Evander Holyfield, Lennox Lewis, those dudes, to say that those fights didn't sell or nobody wanted to see black fighters fight. Like I said before, it appears to me that the Great White Hype had a lot of validity to it. Maybe that movie was telling us something. Maybe it was a sign of things to come. No, that was just something that the media put out. Devontae, is just we know, me and you both know it's cap. That was just something, the narrative that they were pushing. Some people in the media, and then a lot of these content creators. But then you got that fuck boy Jay Leon Love talking about boxing isn't race oriented when you just had Abel Sanchez here. Oh, the reason why? Oh, black versus black don't sit. And then the thing was with Abel Sanchez, he got mad when people was asking him about those comments. Oh, you're trying to make it look like I'm a racist and stuff. He got mad when he got grilled about it. Well, you shouldn't have said it, dude. And what I find funny is you say black versus black fights don't sell, but you used to train Terry Norris when you used to have that Jerry curl looking like Stevie B. Because I love you and I'll do anything. Looking like Stevie B back in the day. I got this letter from the postman the other day. So sad I had to write a song. Dude got some nerve. So that movie was a telltale sign of things to come, that they was gonna start doing that. So that take nerve though. And then, by the way, you almost got Terry Norris knocked into the next year by Julian Jackson. I'm just saying. Yeah, I know. I remember that movie had a lot of truth to it. And they pulled, and the funny thing was they pulled out the biggest scam ever. And it's almost like they do that now. But then again, what they did was, like I said, they started trying to started to go after these black fighters because, like I said, these black fighters were too skillful for a lot of these flat-footed, primarily Hispanic fighters. That they basically didn't have the footwork and the movement sometimes to contend. So what they would do is they'll try to say, "Oh, you need to just stand there and exchange. You need to stand right there." And that was a play. That was what they were talking about in the meetings. Don't y'all know that they tell these broadcasters to say certain kind of stuff? I'm sure y'all seen some fights where the broadcaster would be calling punches that didn't even land, or they would be saying that the fight is more competitive or not competitive than what it really was. They were trying to make it look like everybody keep talking about Bud versus Canelo, and a lot of people had a problem with the broadcasting, where Max Kellerman was switching up, because I didn't watch that fight like 5 times now. Terrence Crawford clearly won that fight. He clearly won that fight. They were talking about that Canelo won the first 2. No, he didn't. No, he did not. No, he did not. But you have to understand, as a guy that's in media, they talk behind the scenes. They have these fighter meetings. The people from upstairs, they talk with the promoters. They talk with, they talk with the managers. They talk with the TV networks. Oh, well, we're pushing this, we're pushing that. So we want, when you call the fight, we want you to say this, we want you to say that, because I'll give you an example. For years, and I didn't know what people were talking about. And I'm going to say this because I got to check out, because I'm going to get some rest. For years. And this is how I knew. And I really knew that they was full of shit when I started covering fights. But I knew that it was an agenda against black fighters. I saw it, I saw a glimpse of it, like Sugar Shane Mosley, Oscar De La Hoya too. HBO made it look like that fight was a robbery. It was a robbery, and Oscar De La Hoya got robbed, and it was like that fight. That fight wasn't no robbery. Sugar Shane Mosley won that fight. See, the HBO crew, they was pushing the agenda. They were told basically to root for Oscar De La Hoya and call a fight for Oscar De La Hoya no matter what. Oscar almost got knocked out in that fight. Now, if you go to Tubi, Top Rank has their own channel. They had a different set of broadcasters calling Sugar Shane Mosley Oscar De La Hoya too. They had Sugar Shane Mosley winning the second fight. I clearly had Sugar Shane Mosley winning that fight. I had it 8-4 Sugar Shane Mosley. The first fight, I think I had is 7-5 Sugar Shane Mosley. The second fight, Sugar Shane Mosley won even clearer. But HBO wanted to push this agenda. And then they had that racist Larry Merchant. Larry Merchant is a flat out racist. He's a flat out racist. And I think to a certain degree, he didn't really try to pretend. Larry Merchant was a flat out racist to the core. Yeah, I'm just saying. Yeah, I'm just saying. Yeah, I'm just saying. If you go to Top Rank's channel on Tubi, it's called Top Rank Classic. That's where I saw the Mikael Mayer fight. I wasn't even trying to be funny when I said Mikael Mayer fought on Tubi. I was not trying to be funny. I'm just telling the truth. She fought on Tubi. But if you watch that fight, the guys that were calling Sugar Shane Mosley and Oscar De La Hoya too, they had Sugar Shane Mosley winning the fight. Kind of had him winning by wide margin. But HBO, they wanted to push an agenda. So what they went and did is they made it look like it was a travesty, and that Oscar De La Hoya wasn't even landing those punches that they were saying he was landing. And I'm gonna tell you something else, real talk. I watched Timothy Bradley, Manny Pacquiao on the Top Rank Network, and the guys that called Timothy Bradley versus Manny Pacquiao, they had Timothy Bradley winning. Timothy Bradley won and Manny Pacquiao won. Now that was a close fight. See, what they were doing, they wasn't calling none of the punches that Timothy Bradley was landing. Manny Pacquiao had his moments, but Tim Bradley was landing shots. They just wasn't calling it for him. And that fight wasn't a robbery. Now, the next two fights, okay, Manny Pacquiao won. And then the funny part was, in the second fight, Tim Bradley, to me, had won like probably the first 5 rounds. Then all of a sudden, he just stopped like fighting. Take it however you want. So all this stuff about black versus black don't sell, that's a damn lie. No, excuse me, that's a motherfucking lie. So that's a lie. The most successful, monumental historical fights have taken place between two black fighters. If it wasn't for the success of Ali Frazier 1, pay-per-view wouldn't have became what it was. That led to pay-per-view because it was called closed circuit TV. That was like the prelude to pay-per-view. So like you can go to theaters and arenas and all that kind of stuff, and they'd have it on a big ass movie screen and stuff. That's what they meant by closed circuit TV. And then that eventually led to pay-per-view. So there you have it. And that's another thing. And Devin won against Lomachenko. Devin broke Lomachenko's ribs. He sent him to the hospital. End of story. Anyway, appreciate you guys. It's your boy Town. I'm out.